All right. Kathy, hi. Good afternoon. Nice to see you all.
Hello.
So we're going to play, I think we all know each other. We've already kind of introduced ourselves last time. But we're going to play a game right now. And so first you need to have your cameras on because you got to see each other as you play this game. Don't worry about Horace. He's just having trouble knowing he's a Barbie fan or just let him be. That's okay.
It's a Simpson. If you don't know that, Nathan, I don't know, like, what? Like, there's nothing to say to you, Nathan. So,
What is that Simpson thing, is it? It's been a long time since I've seen it, man. Anyway. All right, so I've got a ball with me. This is Amana's ball. And so I'm going to pass the ball on to all of you, one after the other. Rather, I pass it on to one person, and one of you will then pass it on to the next person who wish to. But even as you pass this ball around, it has to be fast. Okay, because I don't like playing slow games. It's boring. It has to be fast. So the ball has to pass really quick. So when I pass the ball to Horace, let's say I'm passing to Horace. So I say Horace, and he catches the ball. You saw we caught it? So he caught the ball this way. Okay, so you got to act like you're catching the ball. But when I'm saying Horace, I also will say something. Horace, PUBG. Okay. And then Horace catches the ball and then says the first word which comes to his mind when he thinks of PUBG. And then he'll throw it to the next person. So Horace will catch it. He'll say fun and say mercy. And then mercy has to go, okay, fun, beach, like whatever comes to our mind. Got it? Any questions?
Hold up. We gotta have a trial round of this too. First.
I just gave you one trial round. I can't give you any more trial rounds behind that.
This is easy. Come on.
Yeah, just that we're not doing it virtually.
So general.
No problem.
Amana played on the first try, John. Amana played on the first try.
Srija, are you able to come on camera? Is it possible for you today? Maybe for 5 minutes?
Sir, no, sir, it's not possible. Network problem.
Oh, okay, no problems. All right, so we won't see them, but we'll just pass the ball on to them. Is that okay? I think Daniel, Srija, and Vikyat may be having network issues, so we'll just throw it to them and just call their name out. Srija, did you get a hang of the game?
Because Vikyat's having a net problem when Kathy's all over.
He's getting ready. He's switching the
Okay, I'm
lights
going
on.
to
So
explain
he's
one
gonna
more
be
time
there.
because I know John's a little slow, and so
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw it. I'm going to just start this again once more. So I'm going to say, okay, Horace, wallet.
Rich guy, Muslin.
One word. What 2 words? Rich guy.
Wallet, leather.
Leather, cow, Khyati.
Oh.
Cow. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say the next word. Milk. John. Oh God. Okay, this is confusing, right?
Open up a participants view on laptop.
Yeah, I said John.
John,
is still confused.
Johnny.
Yes.
I said milk, John.
Go.
when he said, Kathy said John, and she said milk, you got to say the first word which comes to your mind with the milk, and then pass the ball.
Sorry. The audio didn't come through. I couldn't hear.
Cool, no problems. We're going to start
Okay,
up again.
so-
We restart, yeah.
Milk tasty. Who's next? Kiona.
You don't got a line, bro.
Tasty the ice cream, Daniel.
All of you just that's okay. Just keep your mics on through the game. Don't worry about turning the mics off through the game.
Ice cream, cold, milky.
Milky.
Milk is cold. His frame's frozen. I think his network is down. Did you all get a hang of the game?
Yeah.
John?
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Cool. Vikyat's trying to log back in. We'll allow him,
Yeah.
let him come back if he can. But should we start? Melky is there. Okay. Melky, we lost you for a minute, man. So Srija, Melky, and Daniel, keep your okay. Daniel and John can't keep the mics on at the same time, no? Yeah.
Yes.
All
Is
right.
my audio clear?
Yes. Srija, keep your mic on. Melky, keep your mic on as well. Unless you and Mercy are in the same room.
No, not in the same.
All right, I'm going to start. Okay, are you ready?
No, wait, tell me once again how to do it.
What do we have to do?
You watch us for some time. Hey, call Vikyat out last.
Call me last.
Okay.
All right. Kiona, melody.
Melody, music, Merslin.
Oh,
Music, piano, Horace.
I don't know. C chord. John.
What do you say?
C major something. I don't.
no, wait.
Pianos, man.
Even these people don't
Okay,
know how
what?
it's done.
Melodious C chord? Pawai Connect? Or Nathan?
What?
What?
You said Powai Connect, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
said
I
Pawai
said
Connect
Pawai
Nathan.
Connect.
Cool, Melky.
Cool.
Cool. Wait, you're saying cool, Melky, or are you saying just cool?
I'm saying the word is cool and I'm passing to Melky.
Okay.
The word should be related to the other person, right?
He's gone. Okay, so
See,
cool.
it has to be related to the previous word. Yeah.
What was the previous word?
I don't know how
Pawai Connect.
C chord got related to Pawai, but okay.
Anyway, so Melky's
So
not
I
this.
said melodious and then I said Pawai Connect.
No, you don't say melodious, right? You gotta connect your thingy with what Horace said. Your word.
Yeah,
with
so he said C chord, nah. So I had nothing else. to
C
say.
is not melodious, it's just sad. Bam.
I don't have a musical ear, bro.
What do you expect from piano, bro? Grand piano?
Yeah, you could
I
have
don't
said
know.
that.
You
Something.
could
I would
have
have
I
said
like
some
tuning.
other
that.
instrument. No, like some other instrument.
Yeah, another.
He said one word, so I'm like C chord.
Okay, stop.
Like,
Nathan
C
wants
chord is
rules
two,
again, please.
2 words.
Okay,
Just so
we
you know.
can play this game.
this is the last time you're playing it. Okay. If you don't get it now, you just go to the video. Okay, so basically, I'm going to say one word and I'm going to throw this ball at that person. Whoever's name I call, they have to collect the ball and then say the first word, only one word, single word that comes to their mind when they think of that particular word which I used. For example, if I say melody, Fiona rightly said music, okay? Or she could say chocolate. If she said chocolate and then Vikyat can say whatever he likes that first comes to his mind with chocolate. Don't think
And
too
then
much.
say some random person's name.
And then say some random person in this group, okay?
Acha, in this group, okay.
Obviously, man.
Obviously, yeah.
All right, go. Here you go. Okay. Kathy, pink.
Girl, Kiona.
Yeah, oh, you're stereotyping yourself.
I just said girl.
Can
so-
you stop? It's a game.
Exactly, stop. It's just the
not
first
a
thing that
stereotype.
came. See, because of
did
the
you say
stereotype,
it?
the thing came to my head. Okay, now stop. I'm
Yeah.
not stereotyping girls.
Yeah.
Okay, I said pink. Sorry, girl, Kiona.
Smart.
Right.
Mm.
Name the person.
Horace.
Horace?
Oh.
Boy. Vikyat.
That was nice.
Vikyat, no? I mean, what? You said boy, right?
Yeah.
PUBG, John.
Shooting. Muslim.
Shooting. Acha, okay.
COD. Melky. Is he there? Daniel.
COD. DLQ33.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow. English
Gaming
flowing into
jargon.
this.
Me?
Okay.
my
I just said
God.
jargon.
John, turn off your video,
Jargon.
go to his room and do something and come back.
I said jargon, Nathan.
Jargon.
Dan, say hi.
Oh,
English.
ball, okay.
Sweet.
Nice.
He said English, Srija. Srija, you heard that? Srija.
I think
I think
Srija.
her connection's bad.
English language, Kiona.
Nice.
Language, Hindi. John.
नहीं आती.
Hindi. What? Telugu. Horace.
Yes, Nathan, yes.
Idli. Vikyat.
What?
That's
Giglio. Okay, chutney mercy.
Pongal, Nathan.
Pepper.
Ball. Pepper, nice.
Pepper and whose name?
Nathan, yes, Nathan. I
Whose
hate
name
those
did you
pepper thingies in Pongal.
Oh, name Kathy.
Yes.
Okay. Food. Daniel.
Banana. John.
DLQ33, bro.
Mercy. What did you say?
What did you say?
Apples. Don't say doctor, please.
Please say Cinderella. Please.
What?
Not Cinderella. Sleeping
No,
Beauty.
that's-
What am I
Okay.
saying?
You say your thing.
Say Einstein somebody. Okay.
Apple. That is Newton, right?
Isaac Newton. Melky.
I said Einstein. Oh god.
I'll just connect it to audio. I think Srija can take that.
Yeah, Shrija.
Srija.
Sheja, you're muted.
Can you repeat it what you said?
I said Isaac Newton.
Newton first law. Kiona.
Newton's second law, Newton's third law, everything.
Start explaining
That's so
derivation. Faster.
Exactly, it should be fast.
Newton force. Newton second law of force. Nathan.
One word.
Inertia, Vikyat.
Nice. Mass, horse.
Wait. Srija.
That's so lame.
That's not lame. That's the first thing it came.
Okay,
that
nice.
See, mass and weight.
Weight,
Okay, yes,
kilogram, John.
What do you say?
Dyslexia.
What is it?
Kilogram.
Horace.
What did you say? John, what did you say?
Was that this?
Don't go back to Horace. Complete a loop.
I had nothing to say.
Dyslexia.
What? What did you say?
Dyslexia.
Dyslexia.
Kilogram.
My friend. Mercy.
My friend.
Fun. Kyati.
Fun.
Amusement park.
Amusement park. Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing.
Oh, twist.
Oh.
Oh, I see what you're doing there.
Name.
I said Vikyat.
Vikya, the amusement park. What is that? Slides. I mean, no, roller coaster. Roller coaster, Nathan.
Slide.
Roller coaster, Nathan, sir.
Skate, Kiona.
I didn't get you.
What did you say?
Cake.
Scared.
Okay.
Scary. Okay, nice.
Ghost. Daniel.
DLQ33.
No. Ghost. Dark.
The TV show.
Kyati.
TV
Please.
show.
Oh, nice.
Mercy.
What?
Dark. And I said TV show. Mercy.
Okay. TV. Netflix series. Or
I knew it.
Me? How to sell drugs online fast. Vikyat.
Is that the name of a TV show?
Dark web, Nathan. How to sell drugs online fast, it seems.
Dark web. Okay.
That's all it's about.
Internet, Srija.
Nathan, I like it, Nathan. I
What
love
did you
how
say?
you're bringing it back.
What did you say?
Internet.
I said dark web, Nathan said internet. It was going so nice. It was going into that.
Internet, Google, Merslin.
Google. YouTube. Daniel.
Nice.
YouTube channel.
Sorry.
Milky.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, yeah.
Please don't say I forgot any of you.
Milky.
Milky is.
He's not connecting on purpose. He should have been done by now.
Call myself.
Okay,
Milky.
give someone.
You'll stay in the same house, no? Milky and Muskin.
Yeah.
I get him on camera.
He's on the other room. He's in the other room.
He's downstairs.
Okay.
Last one was Google, huh?
no, it
YouTube.
was
YouTube channel. Milky.
Channel. Yeah.
Name somebody else. Daniel.
Daniel, name someone else.
Horace.
iPhone. Vikyat.
iPhone.
You just said not to say
I
that, and then you said it.
Okay, iPhone, Vikyat, right? Expensive, Nathan.
He said iFerg, not iPhone.
iFerg. I don't think he
What?
knows who
Okay,
that
wait.
is.
What is
iFerg.
It's fine.
Are you
I had to
kidding
explain.
He's a
me?
YouTuber.
I know COD ka YouTuber. He's
Huh.
retarded Nathan.
What?
I accept retarded me. Okay. Deal with that.
iFerg. Are you kidding me?
We began with Pink, and we ended up with retarded Nathan.
We ended up with iFerg, not retarded Nathan. iFerg. What the hell?
What is iFerg?
Stupid Norris.
Some
What?
YouTube.
Some
He's a
retarded
content
YouTuber.
creator, basically.
He's not
And-
retarded.
A
He is
COD
retarded.
YouTube channel.
He plays on an iPad, right? Like he plays with his hands like this.
Fine, Vikyat, calm down.
You should say me playing, bro. I play Garba over here.
Wow, I learned so
On
many
that
new
note,
words.
go check my YouTube channel for some skilled gameplay.
Don't show off now enough.
Yeah.
Can I remove
Stop,
the camera?
stop.
Guys. So talking about DLQ33, I don't know if that was what David
Yeah,
used Goliath or not.
If you use that on Goliath, one shot, no problem. One shot headshot.
Easy. If it's like a multiplayer, Battle Royale won't work.
But he had his technology this time. David had the technology of his time. With a
I mean,
slingshot
you know
and-
what, Nathan? You said read the chapter, right? So I read how the slingshot went through his head. So if
Yeah.
you use a DLQ33, that's what's going to happen. Like it's going to go through him.
By the
Is that
way,
a gun?
You'll get multiple kill also, like double kills in one shot.
Is
Collateral.
DLQ whatever?
It's a sniper.
Is that a gun?
It's a sniper
Okay.
rifle.
so by the way, they found many years later. I think in my own lifetime, somebody found Goliath's skull with a
What?
hole, and it's with a pepper.
Serious.
Like
really
a
big.
huge thing.
Yeah, it's in Google as well. So that's interesting. But anyway, any quick thoughts? What do you remember from the last session on Goliath Must Fall? Kathy, go first.
We spoke about how the snake lives even after cutting off its head.
Dead but deadly was what this lesson was
Yeah,
called.
dead but deadly.
And he spoke about that snake. If you kill it, you got to really crush its head, because even after a month, that head can its fangs can release poison. Srija, what do you remember from the last session? From the first session we had, anything that you remember?
Goliath of fear.
Yeah, the Goliath of fear. Interesting. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about today. Today's whole topic, the first Goliath we're going to talk about is fear, and fear must fall. That's the topic for today. Great. On that note, so I'm going to get into the video so we can then spend some time talking post the video. The video is about 22 minutes, so we should be done by about 2:40 or so. Then we have enough time to kind of talk about what we learned today. So are you all plugged in? If you want to kind of turn your videos off so you can get better reception for the video time, that's fine. When we come back, you can turn your cameras on. Mercy, you may just want to check with Melky. I think he's struggling with his audio connection. Could you just check with him?
Yeah.
Or just keep me posted if something's not working well. Are we ready then? All right, so here we go.
The story of David and Goliath is a story of two hills. On one hill is the Israelites, on the other is the Philistines. The valley in between, the valley of Elah. This is where the battle between these two nations was set to take place. The valley is the intersection of where Israel has been, and in it is the thing standing in the way of their future. But in this situation, the Israelites were terribly afraid because they suspected that whoever went down into that valley wasn't coming out of it. To them, it was literally Death Valley. What's a bit ironic about this situation is that the Valley of Elah is an incredible piece of land for growing crops. In that region, the Valley of Elah is precisely the place where you would expect to see life springing up from the ground. And yet here it is, in this moment in history, being represented as the complete opposite. It's where things go to die. And this is often what our giants do to us. They put a mask of death over the land of life. They trick us into staying on our hill, staying in the past, always afraid of confronting the future. Today, we're going to explore what gave David the eyes to see and the courage to believe that when he stepped into that valley, he was not going to step into a valley of death, but instead into a land of life. Welcome to part 2 of Goliath Must Fall. So welcome back to our small group study for Goliath Must Fall, and welcome to all you guys that are joining in as well. You might be new to the group, or maybe a few weeks since we were together. So let me remind us of the two big ideas that we left the last session on, and that's this, that we are not David in the story of David and Goliath. So let's begin rallying around that idea that Jesus is the champion in our story. So whatever we're facing today, our hope is in Jesus and what he has done and what he can do in our lives right now. The second big idea that we ended on was talking about how our motivation can't just be our freedom. We live in a very self-focused generation. And so we want everything God does to terminate with us. Help me, change me, free me. But it's not all about us. And that's a powerful, game-changing truth. And the power comes when we see what David saw. And he saw that personal freedom and God's glory were connected together. And I want us to see that again today. Our personal freedom in Christ and God getting glory in our lives through Christ are always woven together into one story. So our prayer today isn't, only, God, I have a giant, it's terrorizing me, it's tormenting me, demoralizing me, but I want us to add, and it's stealing your glory in my life. To put it practically, if someone's struggling with alcoholism and they're fighting to stay sober, they're fighting to keep their job, their marriage is on thin ice, their kids' relationships are fragmenting, it's not just about the fact that a giant has control of their life. It's about the fact that God isn't getting glory through their life. The whole story of their life is the power of this addiction, the program we might try to choose, the decisions that happened as a result of it, putting all the pieces back together. That's the story when the story can be God is greater than addiction. God's greater than every giant. And if we'll trust him, we can walk in the work that he's done in our life. So today we're talking about how a certain giant in our lives has to come down. And I think it's a giant that a lot of us are struggling with on some level in our lives, and it's the giant called fear. And so today we say together, for our freedom's sake and for Jesus' glory's sake, fear must fall. Now, again, someone may say, I'm not afraid. I'm not a scaredy cat. I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of taking a chance. I'm not afraid of bungee jumping. I'm not a fearful person. And there are others of us who quickly can say, that's the one thing that's crippling my life. But I bet if we think about it, all of us on some level are struggling with fear. I'll tell you where we get one big clue is that in Scripture, there are 365 verses that say, fear not. Some version of do not fear is in Scripture, one verse for every day of the year, more than almost any other particular thing that you would want to wrap a verse around. So why are there so many verses in Scripture that say, do not be afraid, fear not? Because we are a fearful people. And that's what was happening in the valley of Elah when this big 9-foot-tall Goliath was taunting the people of Israel. Listen to what it says. And so he comes out, Goliath does his spiel, and this is what it says in chapter 17, down in verse 11. On hearing the Philistines' words, okay, think about that. On hearing a man's words, not some creator's words, but just a man. Granted, he was 9 foot tall. Granted, he was undefeated. Granted, he was covered in armor, and it looked like the armor was impenetrable from every angle. Granted, his his spear had a tip on it that weighed 15 pounds, not a spear that weighed 15 pounds, just the tip of the spear weighed 15 pounds. That flying through the air would put fear in a normal person. So yes, granted, he's not your ordinary human being, but he is just a man. And it says, on hearing the Philistines' words, Saul, who is the king of Israel, and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. And so I have to ask the question, what is it that's trickled into my life? What word? What story? What message has worked its way into my life that has dismayed me or terrorized me? What am I afraid of? And when we ask that question, I think a lot of us are going to figure out, you know what, maybe the giant of fear is in my life more than I thought it was. Why are we afraid? I think we're afraid for a few different reasons. Number one, you could be a fearful person simply because of your conditioning. Now, I don't want to ask a show of hands, but some of us grew up in a household where the whole climate was fear. In Atlanta, Georgia, where I grew up, winter time was a perfect picture of the fear climate of Atlanta, Georgia. Because whenever it was going to snow 1 inch in Atlanta, everyone ran to the store, they raided the shelves, everybody stocked up on salt so we could, keep the stairs in front of the house clear. We battened down the hatches. We wrote love letters to all of our family members. We checked up on the condition of our will, and then we stared out the window all night long to wait and see if one flake was going to fall from the sky. People who live in Michigan and Wisconsin, they're just looking at us like, what is wrong with those people? But you could have had that every day of your life, a version of that. A parent that said, don't go outside because you might get hurt. Don't play with that because you might get hurt. I don't want you to go over there because I'm afraid something will happen. We're driving in the car. Have you ever driven with a fearful driver? And you're like, I don't know what's worse, a careless driver or a fearful driver, where you're looking at every mirror and you're holding onto the steering wheel and you're afraid at any moment that something's going to happen. And a lot of us grew up in a climate like that, with parents like that, in a culture like that. And it's put in you a fearful spirit. So you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old. You own your own business. But yet underneath it all is this idea that something bad probably will happen all the time. It could be that you have fear in your life, not because of the climate or the culture that you were conditioned to, but because of the fact that you're concealing something in your life. One of the things that makes us most fearful is that we will be discovered. And if there's something under the hood in our lives that we don't want the world to know, we are going to have an underlying spirit of fear in our lives. And we're going to wonder when and where and how are people going to discover the real me. And that's going to put us on a trajectory of a fearful life. The third thing that puts fear in our lives, maybe it wasn't conditioning, maybe it's not concealing, but it's controlling. I don't know, are there any controllers in the group? That would be all of us. But the heavy-duty controllers among us are the most fearful ones in the room. See, control, I'm a controller, so can I just admit my own giant right here? I have a problem with controlling things. And boy, that was strong. We don't like to say that. I wish I could just edit that out of this moment right now, because we don't like to admit those kind of things. But let me put a good spin on it for all of us controllers. Have you ever sat in an airport between flights and thought, if you gave me enough money, I could solve the problems in this airport right now? Have you ever sat in traffic in your car and said, if I were the mayor or the governor or the whatever, I could fix all of this? That's controlling. That's the good side of controlling. It's seeing what is and wanting to make it the best it can be. And I think visionaries have that. But the negative side of controlling is wanting to manage information, relationships, and outcomes of all the circumstances in our lives. And if you have a controlling spirit, you are afraid and you are not sleeping good at night. If you grew up in a fear-conditioned climate, if you're concealing something that you don't want the world to know, or if you're a controller, you're staring at the ceiling at night. And underneath all of that is a spirit of fear, a giant of fear in our lives. And if God is God, the creator of the universe, the great I am, the same yesterday, today, and forever, no rival, no equal, no threats in his world, and we're his children, then fear is the number one way the enemy can steal the glory of God in our lives, because we come and gather and sing these amazing songs about the power of God, and then at 4:30 we're still staring at the ceiling trying to solve and manage all the problems of the world. And God wants the giant of fear to come down in our lives so that we can be free and so that he can get glory in our lives. I've struggled and talked about it in other books and in the book Goliath Must Fall as well, about some of my own giants. And I had a strong run-in with, almost a deadly run-in with anxiety and depression several years ago. So at the end of the day, I kind of had to peel the layers off. And I don't know, maybe this is going to be a light bulb moment for somebody today, but I realized that anxiety is not a thing. So at the beginning, it was like I had an anxiety attack, or I have this anxiety issue. And what I had to have for a little while, I'm just going to be transparent if that's okay, I had to have medication for a while to manage this crisis of anxiety and depression in my life. And one day, because I'm inquisitive, I went in and said to the doctor, what does the medicine do that I'm taking? Because I had learned by this time that a lot of people in America are taking something to help them sleep at night. An enormous percentage of us are taking something or drinking something at the end of the day to take the edge off or help us wind down. These are all the good phrases, or help us get to sleep at night. Now, here's the kicker. None of them keep you asleep, but they do help you go to sleep. Some of them by nature actually don't allow you to stay asleep, but they do allow you to fall asleep. And so I asked, what are we all taking? And my doctor said, well, simply this, here's how it works. Do you know about a computer cache? And I said, well, I don't know a lot about computers, but I know enough to know what the cache is. That's where all the information that the computer has processed is being stored in some sort of a short-term, module. And he said, yeah, so when you want your computer to work faster and better, sometimes you need to refresh your cache. And that dumps out all of that information so your computer can work faster. Have I lost anybody on cache, or is everybody sort of there? He said, well, that's what that medicine does to your brain. It dumps out your short-term memory banks of the cache of information that's causing you to feel anxious. It erases it all. That's why if you stay on that medication, you leave cabinet doors open and the water running in the faucet. I don't know if I'm talking to anybody or not. Probably not, because we've got an amazing group of Jesus followers who are just so saturated in the Word of God and living these, fearless lives of faith. But if you've noticed that I left the water running, or the garage door up all night, or my car door was open, that's because the medicine emptied the cache and you forgot that you were getting out of the car. And you also forgot what was making you feel anxious for a season. But here's what the medicine can't do. The medicine can't deal with the thing that was making you feel anxious in the first place. Only Jesus can help you do that. And we have a champion fighter named Jesus Christ, who steps into the valley of our anxiety, of our conditioning, of our concealing, of our controlling, and says, let me be in charge of your life. And in the process of that, let's deal with the things that are keeping you up at night. So for the first few months and even a year after all this happened, I would say to people, I had a big anxiety episode. And then I would say, it's not completely gone away. It doesn't manage my life anymore, but it's like 50 miles away. And if I feel it's sort of getting close, I know what to do. My anxiety, talking about the anxiety. And then I realized one day, anxiety isn't a thing. And if I could just go a little further, depression isn't a thing either. So when someone says, I'm struggling with depression, depression isn't a thing, it's a symptom of a thing. It's a symptom of a giant called fear. And it's rooted probably, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't claim to know your world, but I have a hunch that at the bottom of our struggle with fear call it worry, call it anxiety. I have a hunch that at the bottom of that is a thing. And I have a hunch that the thing is a person. That some relationship broke down. And that's what's making us anxious at night. That's what's keeping us up at night. And if that's the case, we have to begin to understand that Jesus is giving us the ability to look to him, to put our hope in who he is, to claim his control over our lives ultimately, and begin to trust him with the outcomes of our lives. Fear and faith cannot occupy our mouths at the same time. Worship and worry cannot be in our mouths at the same time. One displaces the other. So our talking about what we're worried about pushes worship out of our vocabulary, and worship pushes what we were worried about out of our vocabulary. A friend of mine said it like this. He said, fear is faith in the enemy. And so to turn this equation around and say, I'm going to put my faith in the God who created me, gave his life for me, went down in the depths for me, defeated my enemies, and has called me up to live in his life. A God who loves me perfectly and unconditionally. I'm going to put my faith in his ability to control the outcomes of my life. And when we do that, the giant of fear is going to fall in our lives. It's amazing, this passage of scripture from the same giant fighter who was in the valley of Elah, David. He writes this in Psalm chapter 3, verse 5. And this has become a banner for me, because fighting against fear is a continual fight. And it progressively will get better, but it might not instantly go away. And so please know that in this study, we're not promising quick, easy, simple, bumper sticker sized solutions to life. We're inviting each other into a process of discovering the finished work of Jesus, discovering the grace of God and stepping into that finished work. And so this is still a key verse for me. David wrote, I lie down and sleep. Now, how many of us would just like to be able to say that? Okay, that's different right there. God will get glory in your life if you can say that. I lie down and sleep. Last night, guess what I did? I went to sleep. I mean, not a lot of people doing that. So that would be number one. I wake again. This is good news because the Lord sustains me. In other words, David had discovered something that we have to discover. We have to be honest with whatever's underneath our fear. And we have to be able to say what it is and transfer it into the hands of God. Two things. Number one, we have to be able to say what it is. You have to be able to name what is keeping you up at night. And so when you're there and you feel the pressure and you're staring at the ceiling and you're trying to solve the affairs of your family or the affairs of your kids or the affairs of your former spouse who's now in a relationship with somebody else, or you're trying to replay the story again. Why did she leave? Why did he leave? Why did it all fall apart? Why did it have to happen this way? And you're replaying the story again and again. At some point, you just have to say, God, I am anxious right now, and I'm anxious because of what my mom said. And I'm replaying it in my mind, and the result is dismay and fear in my heart. Or I'm replaying what my coworker said or didn't say. Or I'm thinking about that circumstance and the outcome of that situation and how that's made me feel uneasy about life. And so, God, this specifically is what I'm afraid of. So now I've got a name, and it's not anxiety or I can't sleep or I'm just depressed or I don't feel good. It's this. This is what's keeping me up tonight. And then it's, what do I do with it now? Do I hold on to it all night long and try to turn it 18 different ways until I can solve it? Or do I put it in the hands of God and say, you love me? I know you do, because a cross is standing in my story that proves that. Your love is not based on my performance. It's perfect love. And the scripture says perfect love casts out fear. So I'm going to trust in the fact that you were sold on me before I even knew who you were. And you gave everything you had to be in this relationship with me. So I'm going to trust in that kind of love, and I'm going to take this thing that I can't solve and put it in your hands, and I'm going to go to sleep. Knowing that while I'm sleeping, you are solving. While I'm sleeping, you are working. While I'm sleeping, you are doing what you've done before time, managing the affairs of the world. And believing that maybe I can't see it, but I believe that you're managing them for my good and for your glory. The psalmist David said a different way, I've set the Lord continually before me. In other words, I moved out of view that thing, just temporarily maybe, to put God in view. I've set the Lord continually before me because he is at my right hand. I will not be shaken. Therefore, my tongue rejoices and my heart is glad and my flesh dwells secure. The giant of fear is dead. Might still be deadly if you let it, but that giant has gone down, and there is a mighty God standing in the middle of your story today. Find him, see him, worship him, and trust him, and watch faith be born again in your heart, and watch sleep return to your world.
Hey everyone.
Everyone
Horace,
that's
your
sleeping, get up.
backgrounds are so amazing.
Horace,
How
you, so
hard?
what? Not listening to the video.
That is, what's that called?
Yeah,
The
I think
scrapyard. That's scrapyard in COD.
Scrapyard, yeah. Call
Oh,
of
this
Duty
is, it's
Mobile.
there in, oh, mobile, that's what, yeah.
Look at the right hand
It was
side.
a Modern Warfare map, actually.
All right. Thank you so much.
Taking your audience details. Sorry.
Great. Did any of you have any issues watching the video? Did it stream well for you, or was it an issue?
It
No,
wasn't
nothing.
together,
It was
but it
perfect.
was audible. I mean,
Yeah, it was audible perfectly.
All right. Great. Okay. So let's just walk around the room and figure out what was something that stuck with you, or what do you really like from today's talk?
Go and sleep.
Who?
Yeah.
Go and sleep.
Are you
Okay.
saying or ordering?
Okay. So that's what you liked about going and sleeping?
No,
Go on.
it talks about fear and then like as to
Hmm.
how what are its outcomes and exactly how to deal with it.
Correct.
I liked how he
Okay.
explains about the medicines, how they work on the brain, and
Hmm.
that was
Cash
pretty
memory.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
had
Cash
he
memory.
taken it 10 minutes longer, I would be asleep.
Yeah. Obviously, you have a good lunch and you sit down near the window and breeze hitting your face. You're definitely going to sleep. See.
I'm on my bed.
All right, Horace. What was your learning?
About fate and fear not like being together and worship and worry not coming out of the same mouth. And the way he said, his friend said that you can't let the fear be the fate of the enemy. So like
That's nice.
that was really nice. Like so, then the opposite, just make your fate the fear in the enemy. Like so, that was really good. Like that.
it's gonna
Yeah. Fear is faith in the enemy.
yeah.
Yeah, and faith is the fear in the enemy. Then your faith having like, of course, you have faith in God. They will really
Okay.
out of you. Like
Yeah.
Nice
Fair enough. You
analogy.
got the point. You also got the point. That's okay. Let's leave it.
Nice analogy. Nice.
Srija, what was something which you really liked today?
The part that I liked was when David said, "Right hand, and I will not be shaken." That part I liked it.
That's so true. Thank you. Kiona?
I like the part where he mentioned that even controlling can be a fear. Like I never thought of that before.
Yeah. Yeah. A fear could be driven from a need to control. So true, no? Kathy?
Yeah, even I thought of what Horace was saying. And yeah, when Kiana said it, even I thought like controlling was. I mean, I never thought of controlling as a fear.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Mercy, what were your thoughts?
I think like the beginning, what he started with, like the valley and how it was like a really fruitful and like where you can farm and all, and then it was named like the Valley of Death, and just like it's how you decide what it has to be and like who you put your faith in.
Yeah. So true. Thank you for sharing that. Daniel, you want to come in?
Hello.
Yeah, Daniel, go ahead.
Could you repeat? Sorry.
Yeah, what did you like from today's session? This video that you saw, what was something that you really liked?
From the video is like I. Mm,
Any one thing or any example or something that really kind of you really enjoyed listening to? Daniel? If nothing, that's fine as well. There's nothing really stood out to me. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
All right, Vikyat shared. Okay, Melky, you want to share?
Yeah, for me again, it was the part about the medicine that he said it doesn't really do anything for your sleep. It just clears your cache of your memory. So yeah.
That's so interesting. It just kind of treats the symptoms. Like for example, crocin. Crocin really doesn't solve the reason why you get a fever. Crocin just manages the fever. It reduces the temperature of your body. It doesn't attack the infection or the hurt or whatever it is that's causing the temperature to go up in your body. Or with Disprin or aspirin. Disprin really doesn't kind of treat the reason why you're having a headache. Disprin only thins the blood and kind of deals with the symptom. It doesn't remove the reason for the headache. It's like this. I mean, imagine you've had a really tough meeting or a really tough discussion with someone and you have a really bad headache out of it. The headache was because of the emotional stress, right? How is discipline going to treat the emotional stress? It's just going to deal with the headache. There's the ache part, not what caused the ache. And I think that's a brilliant analogy he gave. But he mentioned three things, right? One was controlling. What are the other two reasons why we fear? Or what causes fear?
Concealing and conditioning.
Concealing and conditioning. Yeah, that's bang on. So concealing, conditioning, and controlling. Kiona, you can go first. What is it that really, what do you relate with? What do you think your fears are caused by or driven by?
I think it was the controlling part. I actually never thought about it before he said this.
Okay. And you want to just throw a little more light on, or generally, what would you like to control, or in which areas do you find control necessary for you?
Like what happens? I don't know. I just like what will happen tomorrow, what will happen today, like how to make it all right and go in the way I want, I guess.
That's good. Yeah, that's so true. And I struggle with that as well. What's going to happen next month? What's going to happen 6 months from now? What can I do today to make sure that goes right the next month? So it's just a lot about what can I control today? What can I fix today for my tomorrow to be okay? Relate to that. Mercy, what about you?
I guess concealing, I think. I feel like I don't know. I just don't want everyone to know everything about me because then they'll have me all figured out. That.
Yeah. And what did they have you figured out?
I know that's bad, right? They know everything about me.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in a vulnerable position
which you actually are, because then it's like they know exactly how to get to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
True. Thanks, John. Since you just spoke, why don't you go ahead and what is it for you?
The uh, no, like, could you repeat the whole question again? Just
Yeah, there are three reasons why we're fearful. That's what Louis said.
yeah.
It will be because of conditioning, concealment, or controlling. So
Yeah.
generally, what's your fear arising from?
Mm, combination of all three actually. It's depends on like different situations. Like there are certain areas where you can become controlling, certain areas where you conceal, certain areas like where okay, I don't know much about the conditioning part. I think it's maybe the how you're brought up or something like that, or to a certain environment or certain thing. It's basically all three, and they come in different times or sometimes all together.
Okay, okay. Thanks for sharing that, John. Suja, what is it for you? Srija, what would you say would be the reason for your fear?
You are muted.
Srija, can you hear me?
She got disconnected, I guess.
Okay. All right. Kathy, why don't you go? Oh, you already shared, sorry.
No, no, I haven't.
Mhm,
I
okay.
have, I guess. No, for me, it's mostly controlling,
Mhm,
as in like how I have to manage things and like what do I have to do to get something done. That that is something that scares me.
mhm,
And I think, yeah, I mean, it is kind of a combination of all three.
mhm.
Just depends on the situation, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Horace, what's it for you?
I guess it will be controlling, more like how I would like to control people, maybe because then I fear for myself to be
Mm,
like, if I'm under someone's control, I might not be myself. I might just do something wrong, or
mm,
like I might not be up to the standards of someone. So if I get the standards to, according to me, so then I can just control what's happening, something like that.
yeah. Okay. Daniel, what would it be for you? What makes you fear? Is it the way maybe you've been brought up because of conditioning, or is it because you want to hide something, concealment, or or is it because of the fact that you want to control some situation or something like that? Daniel?
Um, I don't know, but I think it's like concealment, I guess.
Mhm. Right. Thank you for sharing that, Daniel. Sija, welcome back. Sija, what's it for you? Is it concealing, controlling, or conditioning, which mostly drives your fear? Okay. Melky, what's it for you?
For me also, I think it's concealment.
Okay. Mm. And again, what about concealment, Melky?
Yeah, just the fact that someone knows everything about you and knows how like they can manipulate you easily, so that scares me.
Mm. All right. Vikyat?
For me, it's a bit of all of them, but like most this thing is conditioning, I guess, because
Mm.
like my actions are all like I think doing certain things is the way to go, and
Mm.
like, so there's no other this thing I can do, and also controlling I can say a little bit. Like I like to control people. For example, Kyati.
Thank you for being honest. And why do you want to control Kathy? Since you're being
Uh,
honest, let's just go deep into it. Maybe.
yeah, so I am older, and I'm like, listen to me, don't do certain things.
The same reason why I control Trisha and Joanna, same reason why Mercy controls
Exactly.
same reason why John controls Daniel. Like it's I don't even have to ask him.
Not with me, yeah. Not with me, man.
with
Okay,
you.
leave
That
John.
doesn't occur
Okay,
much
Horace,
with me.
leave John. But here the problem is he's just 1 minute younger to me.
Exactly. And Horace,
Yeah,
how
I'm like, that doesn't even make a difference.
exactly? You just got lucky. You came out first.
Yeah, that's what.
Exactly why. So if
Or
I'm
rather,
trying to say stuff like don't listen to me because I'm older, she's like, are you stupid or something? And then I'm like,
in fact, I should say, Kathy was luckier to be inside Mama's womb for 1 more minute.
you know what, Nathan? I'll tell you guys one fun fact. So basically, if my mother had a normal delivery, Kathy would be older. But my mom had a cesarean delivery, so that's why I came out first. You know what I'm trying to say?
It's because of you, your mom had cesarean. You two been.
Whoa.
That's
Okay.
So
That's
I
cool.
was, yeah, I was in the front, I was in the back, so
this
I
is
was
next
gonna be
level.
the younger dude.
That is sad.
See, this
The
is like
fun fact.
So you're on record right now, and so henceforth they're going to keep saying that no, I just got lucky. She's the older one. She deserves the first place, and you're going to respect her and bow down to her from now henceforth, right?
Yeah, I guess I give her enough respect, but
Oh yeah,
I do ask her if
we
I
agree.
want.
Kathy is
Ask her.
laughing with that.
Everyone's laughing. Even I'm laughing.
Fair enough. Okay, I want to ask this question again. Remember, Louis was pointing to the fact saying the Israelites heard the Philistine. They heard a man, and that hearing the man made them get dismayed and fearful. It was a voice. What, according to you, would be a voice or a source that makes you be dismayed? Did you get the question?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to ask it in a little more formal way. It says, um, in 1 Samuel chapter 17:11, it talks about how when Goliath spoke, the Israelites were afraid. In verse 24, it relates that when they saw Goliath, they were afraid. So, what voices are you listening to, or where do you have your eyes fixed on that may be leading to fear in your life? Take a couple of seconds, and I'll ask maybe Mercy to start with answering when she's ready. What voices are we listening, or where do we have our eyes gazed on that's causing us to be fearful? Maybe I'll go first before Mercy comes in. I think for me, one voice which kind of affected me for quite some time and made me a little fearful is a certain section of the leadership of the larger GMI BBC Church, okay, not Powai Connect. Because as Powai Connect, as a church plant, we were experimenting quite a few things. We were trying out a lot of new stuff, and we were trying to just follow what we felt the Holy Spirit was showing us as strategy for the church. But it wasn't as per the conventional strategy or wisdom of the larger church we belong to. And so a lot of times they would question and say, "Why aren't you doing this fast? Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that?" And or why is this not happening? Why don't you have so many numbers going up or another? And like for me, I was like, no, I mean, like I just felt God is leading us in this strategy. We don't want to do that because that is easy to do, and that may give us numbers fast. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something different. We want to reach people who are not reached. We don't want to reach just people and bring them into church for the sake of bringing them to church. And so when they would come to church to visit us, or when they would, when I would get to meet them and have a conversation about how church was going with them, um, it it would kind of lead me to a place of being fearful about the answers I would give them or about how I would convince them. I was very convinced in my heart about what the Holy Spirit was leading us as leaders on, but it was so difficult to convince them as to why we're doing what we're doing and not the way they wanted to do it. So that would play in my mind. And so anytime I'm taking a decision about the church, I would think about, okay, what would this person or what would so and so say about this? How would it impact my answer to them on the questions they ask me next time? And that made me go into a shell, go into a shell, go into a shell. While actually God was doing something beautiful and amazing, which a lot of you here are witness to, it was making me go into a shell as a leader because of the fear of what those leaders would say about how I Connect was growing. Is that making sense to you? I don't know that makes a lot of sense or not, but that's an honest place of source of fear for me. So therefore, trying to control situation, control people, control things, so that we get the outcomes, which I would be asked about later by a few set of leaders. Yeah. By the way, I want to just lay this out to you. I forgot laying this out to you last week, last session, that whatever we discuss here is confidential, right? We can be that way because it's a trust group. Trust is the common thread for this group. Same with the Tuesday Connect group, the Wednesday Connect group, and the Thursday Connect groups. Any Connect group is a group of people coming together saying, okay, listen, I trust you, I love you. And whatever you share, I'm going to deal with that information in a manner that loves you back. Yeah. So if, for example, if Mercy shares something here, it would be foolish of me to take that and go to her mom or dad and say, listen, you know what, John Seka, Mercy is saying this here. What are you doing at home? Do something about her. I would not do that. And so same thing, we don't share information here to gossip. We don't share information here to judge people. We don't share information here to pull each other down, but we share information so that we can bring it to the open and help each other out, sort it out together. Is that making sense? Yeah, would you show me a thumbs up for that? Super. So Mercy, on that note, would you share what you want to share freely and openly?
I think one voice that you listen to, which like makes you fearful, is I think doubt. Because I feel like you can be sure of yourself. You can, like, whatever situation you're in. For example, if it's a test, you can be sure about everything, and if you still doubt like something, it just keeps you're always uneasy, and you just keep that it's thinking that it's gonna go wrong. So I feel like doubt is one thing.
Yeah. Good question to ask, Mercy, and just to go a little more deeper for you is, what is making you doubt? So doubt is causing you to be fearful, but later, just think about it for yourself. What have you heard or what have you seen happen in your own life or happen around you that makes you doubt the outcome or makes you doubt the situation or the person or whatever it is? Something's influenced you to not trust what's happening to be a positive or a good outcome, but you think there's a possibility of it breaking down. That's where the doubt, right? Doubt is, will it happen? Will it not happen? So why the question, will it not happen? Where did the question of will it not happen come from? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, just ponder on that later for your own learning. Yeah, great. Kiona, what do you want to jump in next?
I think it's like when the voice, like people have control of you and they like, you have to do this. And I feel like you can't say no sometimes. So that's one of the voices. Like when they tell you to do something, even though you know that you in your heart, you don't want to do it, it might even be wrong, but you can't say no.
Yeah.
So that is one of the voices.
Yeah. Yeah. Just give me a second, please.
That was loud.
Something fell.
Man.
Okay.
It's all good, Nathan. What happened?
I don't know what happened. I was just worried if the geyser blew up, but no, not the geyser.
Oh my god.
That was very loud, Nathan.
It was, I think, some glass cracked or something like that. Anyway, Yeah. So, good question to just ponder on is who are those people for you? Have you named those people in your life? Because you remember what you don't have to name them here, okay? But for yourself, um, remember Louis Giglio saying that there are two things you got to do. One is to call it out, call the fear out, and call the people who or the things that are causing you to be fearful, and then hand them over to God. So for you to hand them over to God or to hand these people over to God, you got to be clear on who those people are. Yeah. Okay. Vikyat, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So for me, it's like they're not voices, like literally voices, but it's something like expectations from me.
Mm.
Like I'm expected to do something,
Mm.
and a great example can be IIT, definitely. Like all the while when I was preparing for IIT, I was questioning why IIT, it sucks, it's so lame. Will I even be here? So these questions, I mean, finally I ended up here because that's probably God's plan for me. But like I want answers to these questions. And also I'm very uncertain about the future. And I'm like, what if I die today? Why are we doing this? Some sort of stuff like that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing what you feel. Even as you say that IIT, who in IIT is
No, it's
something
not
for
a person. It's not a
Mm.
person. The
Mm.
the thing itself, the seat itself, like
Mm.
striving so hard to get it. And
Mm-hmm.
like when I was doing it, I didn't like it, but now definitely I like it because I'm in.
Yeah. And even when you were preparing for the examination or trying to get into the IIT, what were the voices you felt you would disappoint, or
So
who were?
like, so there's
Think of
no,
yourself.
yeah, I can say this. Like there
Mm.
is no way, there's no other way for me, Like
Mm.
so, if I say IIT sucks, my parents are like, okay, we'll join one normal degree college in Hyderabad. So then I'm like, obviously that's also not what I want.
Mm.
So at that stage of my life, I didn't know what to do.
Mm.
So I had to go through this pre-created path and do it. You know.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
think even in IIT, it's happening like that. Only you need to get good grades, manage semester-wise, whatever. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Melky, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, for me, I think it could be the opinion of others plays a vital role in what I think, because like any action I take, they could hold it against me, and I don't know. It just feels wrong thinking about what another person might think about me.
Yeah. And do you have a grip on who those people are for yourself? Do you have an idea of are you able to crystallize and say these people
Yeah,
would
I think it's actually moreover for me, it's everyone around me who are closer to me. That's whose opinion matters
Mm.
rather than the whole
Yeah.
world, right? Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Melky. John, you want to come in?
Okay, for me, it is I don't know. It's like a lot of things, but at different times. It depends, like as to exactly how things go. So sometimes it might be okay. What might the other person think? Or like if it's something like a formal situation or somewhere, or like you're going somewhere in terms of anywhere, and it's like okay, what will other people think on these lines? Other times you're like, no, you don't even care what other people think. But
Mm-hmm.
then it totally differs, and there's like a lot of them.
Mm.
That's all.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Srija, you want to share? If you're able to speak, that'd be great. Or
For me, it's the same thing that Melky said. What will people think? What will they say? How will they react to what I do? So it's kind of that.
nice. Mm. Daniel.
Me, it's like like I also like can't say no to some stuff, and then like it's also like what other people might think, like they might think about this and like that, what they think of. Like,
Mm. Yeah. Kathy, would you share yours, please?
For me, it's kind of a mixture of what Vikhyat and what Melky said. Like, uh, expectations that people around you have. It's not like they have any ill will or anything, but it's just they put it out, and then you have to carry the, you know, idea of it. Like expectations from parents, from siblings, and from Vikhyat.
Mm.
Just saying, from people and like friends, and even what people do kind of influence you, and then yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
I kind of fear.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to just jump in and share at this time? Anything you feel that comes up in your heart?
And I'm still left, but then.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
No problem. So for me, basically, I don't really care of what people say to me, but then there are like circumstances sometimes come up, like when if the person's doing good than you before, right? And then I mean, most of my friends, when they do well in the exam or in like in a game, right? So then it's in my head now. Okay, then I have to like prove myself to them again, or like I have to do this. So sometimes I know, like, okay, if I do this, it'll actually be better. Like this will be a
Mm.
shorter way, or this will make it a better stuff, like in a sense. But I don't know if it's good enough for them.
Mm.
So it's my view of not like think like, will it be good enough for them to accept this idea, or like is it too small for them because this guy is already out there, and then or like something like that.
Mm. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wants to just jump in and add something to what we just spoken about? Anything which just comes to your mind, you feel it's something to think about for all of us. Or something you feel you got an action going forward basis what you learned today.
So like you said action, right? So like Louis gave an example, like when he's sleeping and he thinks he leaves everything to God. So
Mm.
when he's sleeping, God is doing the working. So
Yeah.
you should just take a step back and then just leave everything to God. So He'll take care.
Mm.
Next day when you wake up, you can see the problem in a new way and you can approach it. So I think that's what everyone should do with our Goliaths. I mean, with our Goliaths of fears.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Anything else that you noted for yourself to kind of do going forward? No. All right. So for this week, even as we're going to meet next on Tuesday. Before that, would you just read Psalm 16? Okay. And as you read Psalm 16, would you highlight or underline all the phrases that deal with safety, security, steadfastness, and joy that you find in that particular chapter? Hmm?
Yep.
The second thing is, would you just the same thing we spoke about and we talked about the voices or the impressions or the pictures we have or something that our eyes are looking at. What are the sources of conditioning, controlling, or concealment? What are the sources that make you react the way you do, or get fearful? And what would you want to do about them? Would you choose to just first name them, process them, ask, is that the root of it, or is there something else below that? Like I asked with one of you, saying, is that it, or is there something under that that actually is the root cause? And would you just take that and say, Jesus, God, would you take this over? I want to cast this burden onto you, so then you can give me relief and sleep, like Vikyat was saying as well. So would you do these two things? One, read Psalm 16 for yourself and highlight all the phrases. Second is to kind of think through about the voices where you're gazing at, which is causing you to be fearful. Is that okay? All right. I'm going to send you into breakout rooms right now. We're going to go into twos each, and we're going to spend time just praying for each other. We'll just spend 5 minutes. Is it okay? You can just pray for what you shared today, or if there's any other prayer point, you can just ask the other person, say, hey, is there anything I can pray for? And just pray, quick prayer. Don't have to make it holy sounding or reverential sound. Just a simple, sweet prayer between both of you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
All
cool.
right. 5 minutes. I'm going to call you back in. You got to accept the invitation to join the room. Melky, John, and Melky, Srija, would you accept invitations? You will have.
He's not here.
Send all everyone's numbers to Horace. We'll add
Oh,
them to the
by
group.
the way, one second. Nathan, you said somebody yesterday here stays at Nahar or somewhere. You said we have somebody who stays in Nahar also.
Nahar, we have Kevin, no?
Who
And
came?
Brittany.
Nahar?
It's a
Nahar is
band,
an
I think.
apartment building in near Powai.
Oh no, it was close by. That's why I was like, okay, who's around?
Brittany is there in Nahar.
Okay.
And Kevin and Neeti.
Okay.
And Scott, and if you've not met them, Scott and his family.
Nah, I don't know that. I've heard about Kevin and.
Cool. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining in. Forrest must leave these. Hold on while the others leave. Bye. See you on Tuesday next. And if you guys want to join church, you can join on Sunday morning, 10 a.m.
You guys leave.
Leave. What are you guys staring at?
I mean, we can start picking.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kathy. Bye.
Guys, go play
She's
COD,
across
guys.
the
Bye.
room here.
Melky, first you won't come, now you won't leave.
Melky is actually, I think he's already left. He's stuck.
LK, cheeky boy.
I'm not able to remove him also.
Very cheeky boy.
Put him in waiting room only. Yeah, that.
Oh, Melke has he has quite a good YouTube channel actually. Full tips and tricks he's giving, tech tips.
Really?
Okay.
What?
Guys, I have 5 minutes before I have another call.
Yeah.
Any feedback for today's call?
Actually, today was better, I guess, and especially the breakout room. It could be a bit longer. Like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, because we both missed out this.
Yeah, breakout rooms were fun.
These guys,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
because
was
that was
good.
actually the whole point of it. Actually, we having a prayer huddle online. So,
Yeah.
That was actually.
We can plan a little longer time than that.
Yeah.
For me, I came in late because I had to kind of make sure everybody left the room since we lost time, and then I prayed a long prayer as well, being the pastor. So Horace got only like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was not going to let go him with long. Even I had to pray long.
We had like full competition. You can pray. I want to pray. Mercy, how was it for you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was good. The prayer huddle, like the prayer part also was good.
That's nice. You have Shrija with you, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even was she able to pray?
Yeah.
That's good.
She
Nice.
did.
Okay. Just keep in touch with her and keep encouraging her.
So Srija, she has a Hindu name, right? So she converted?
Not yet.
No, even I know.
Okay.
She doesn't know. She knows Jesus. She knows the gospel, but she has not yet committed her life to Him. She's someone who believes in Him. I think she wants to commit, but her family would not want that to happen right now.
Okay, her family is not Christian.
No, her family is fully Hindu.
Oh.
She's a classmate of Kiona.
Okay.
And so the thing is, this
Nice.
this school that they go to, Kiona and Srija, is a Christian school whose principal is a leader with our church in Kunur. Kunur is a hill station on the way to So all the children from the school every Sunday, because it's a Christian school, have to go to the church. And that's where they got to hear the gospel. And so a lot of them are secret believers or believers from inside, but don't yet are unable to kind of make that their formal faith because of the family not knowing God as yet. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind, Mercy.
Yeah.
And just keep talking to her, encouraging her, and see how you can connect with her. Vikat, you as well. You've got Daniel with you, so just encourage the young guy. Talk to him. You can talk about how his studies are going, any help he needs, and Horace, you as well. Don't spoil Milky. Don't spoil me. And
Melky is way more textbook than Horace. I'm pretty sure.
What?
Melky's what?
Way more textbook, what we attribute to Mercy.
Acha.
Yeah.
I feel like you're just saying something to like get a reaction out of me. So I'm not going to give you a reaction anymore.
All right, guys.
This is my reaction.
Yeah.
Nice. Would you
this is what I wanted, so yes.
Chalo, bye guys. Nathan has to leave, guys.
Yeah, Nathan. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.
2 o'clock.
Bye.
Yeah. Chalo, COD.
Bye.
Go to PC.
You know what? One second. Just 1 second.
Yeah, Nathan, you can leave. We can end the call.
Ours is jargon. Look, see, I'm ready to click play. Look, I'm ready.
I deleted the game. I'm downloading the game because I don't know. It started the game, right? But then it didn't start the game. Like, it's coming and then my screen freezes. I'm like, get me in the game. Like, the tutorial worked fine. Everything worked fine.
Mercy, get into PC gaming. I'm serious. You'd like it.
Horace, come, let's play on mobile.
Go enjoy.
Without Vicky.
DLQ33.
It's good. So bye.
Carry on. Bye, guys.
Bye. She's already left. Bye.